Workforce trends and priorities are impacting the legal landscape in Australia and New Zealand, and we're here to work out which ones. Today we are joined by Jarrod Tucker, Special Counsel at Thomsons, and Anamika Sharma, Employment Lawyer and Workplace Relations Specialist in New Zealand, to break down what is shaping hiring decisions, career choices and workforce planning in the legal market. As 2026 continues to unfold, the law firms are operating in a steadier but still competitive environment. But with experienced professionals still difficult to source, how can organisations build teams that are ready for what comes next? Supported by data from Australia and New Zealand's leading employment report, our guest industry experts today will look at what priorities are leading the charge for legal teams, what skills are becoming more important in 2026, what trends will shape the legal sector through 26 and into 27, and are business moving quickly enough on AI or taking the right level of caution? Hello and welcome to People and Frog Recruitment's 2026 Legal Market Analyses. My name is Kirsten Garrett. I am the Legal Recruitment Manager here in our Sydney office. Jumping straight into it today, what trends are shaping the legal market in 2026? Based on the latest data from our Employment and Salary Trends report this year, after a mixed year in 2025, the legal sector has entered 26 in a more stable position. Turnover has largely settled and more teams are expecting conditions to hold steady or improve. But that does not mean the market has become easy. The pressure has simply become more focused. Hiring is being driven by a combination of growth and replacement. Firms are still investing in their teams, but they are also trying to protect service delivery and manage ongoing workload demands. That creates a market where employers need to be clear of what capability they need and move quickly when they find it. Demand remains broad across legal professionals and legal support. Lawyers, associates, senior associates, legal assistants and paralegals are all part of the hiring picture, which shows that firms are not only looking for technical expertise, they also need the operational support that allows fee earners to work effectively. Another important theme has been retention. Benefits such as career development, work from home options, flexible hours, association memberships and bonuses are all part of how firms are trying to remain competitive. Overall, this is a steadier legal market, but still a competitive one where capability, speed and retention strategy are making the difference. So from shifting candidate expectations to growing demand for specialist skills, employers are navigating big changes in 2026. To break down more about what is actually happening in the market across Australia and New Zealand, we are joined today by Jarrod Tucker, Special Counsel in Corporate M&A at Thomsons here in Sydney, and Anamika Sharma, Employment Lawyer and Workplace Relations Specialist in New Zealand. And I'd like to personally say thank you very much to both of you for joining us. I'll start first looking at the Australian market with you, Jarrod. At the end of 2025, our report suggested that 72% of professionals in the legal space were starting to plan growth in their teams in 2026, and that's up from 70% in 2025. So this year, 72% said they are planning to grow their teams. Last year, it was only 70%. For you and your team, how would you describe the first half of 2026? And does that match what professionals were predicting at the tail end of last year?
Thank you. We've had a strong start to 2026, where we've seen demand for legal services both from current clients and new clients across our practice groups. In our corporate team, we've been blessed with a constant flow of deals, and we've seen that the M&A market has been buoyant with many transactions between 50 and 200 million. And we're also advising at the moment on the heavily anticipated 𝗪𝗏 ASX listing. This has resulted in our strongest financial year on record, as announced by our Chief Executive Partner, 𝗪𝗿𝗴𝗋. With regards to the second half of 2026, given the current economic climate, we are expecting a slowdown. However, we're not seeing that yet. Generally, that occurs in other parts of the economy first before it starts impacting the legal industry. So for now, we're very much focused on assisting our clients move through the winter period into the more active months of the year.
So definitely some changes afoot there. Our report also shows that the legal market continues to be shaped by sustained workloads, which you alluded to, particularly across dispute-heavy and transaction-led practice areas, which has not always been the case in previous years. For you and your area, what has been the biggest shift you've experienced or seen in what businesses are needing from their legal teams?
We are seeing transactions move faster than ever before, and this is mostly attributable to the legal industry's adoption and use of technology. Now, AI is certainly supercharging the speed. However, we cannot forget the impact that portable devices and video conferencing are having. So given the increased speed of transactions, it's becoming imperative for legal teams to have the ability to flex up and flex down in terms of their size and capability on short notice. So at Thomsons, we manage this by having a core transaction team who can then access additional resources on short notice. And this allows us to progress transactions with speed and the diligence they require.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying there is ensuring that you're resourced effectively. Moving on, though, what skills or capabilities do you think are becoming more important or most important for legal professionals to stay ahead this year?
So I believe the core skills for lawyers generally remains constant from year to year, and these skills being a lawyer's technical ability, their commercial acumen, and great communication skills amongst their other professional skills. A new skill which I believe is becoming imperative for particularly high-performing lawyers is their ability to distinguish what is artificially drafted from traditional legal drafting. So I mention this in the context where I'm seeing more and more agreements supplied where the first draft has been produced by essentially non-legal generative AI, and these documents are generally not fit for purpose. So to stay ahead, lawyers need to have the ability to carefully assess documents for artificial drafting and ensure their alignment with the proposed commercial agreement between the parties.
Yeah, and certainly we will touch on AI, but that is that recognition of AI drafting versus, drafting done from the original source is essential there. How do you think the legal teams have evolved in the last 6 months? And additionally, how have expectations around what businesses are needing from their legal teams and legal support changed along the way?
There's certainly been a focus the last 6 months, more than ever. And again, it's impossible to sort of consider the evolution of legal teams over the past 6 months in isolation from AI. And that's both by its use in law firms and our clients. So at present, I find both law firms and clients are adjusting to the use of AI, particularly in using its functionality and assessing the impact of such functionality. In the longer term, this is going to create an adjustment in the operating models of clients and legal teams, as well as law firms. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. From a client perspective, we are seeing clients look to us for guidance on how they can implement AI using best practice examples and what the best use cases are for them given their industry. So in terms of the workflow and how we're assisting them, as an example at present, we're assisting numerous clients develop and implement AI playbooks. And that's then assisting them have consistent and accurate outputs from the use of AI.
Yeah, fair enough. And excluding AI, just to round out your thoughts, if you were to look ahead to the remainder of this year and into 2027, what trends do you think will shape or have the most impact on the legal landscape? So excluding AI.
Recent geopolitical instability and the federal budget are certainly having considerable impact on the economy. From a legal perspective, we've definitely seen that clients are looking to actively manage and cover off low probability but high impact events. And this includes things like shocks to their pricing models, as well as supplier insolvency. So given this, there's definitely a renewed interest in negotiating clauses such as force majeure events, and also building contingencies into pricing models for goods and services.
Okay. That's a great insight. We appreciate those comments. And if we shift gears slightly and now look over to the New Zealand market, I'd like to bring our second guest for today's presentation into play. Anamika, an employment lawyer and workplace specialist. Likewise, thank you for joining us today. If we ran through similar questions, for you and your team, how would you describe the first half of 2026, and does that match what professionals were predicting at the tail end of last year?
Yeah, thank you, Kirsten, and thanks for having me. It's a very interesting stat, that 72%, and I'm an in-house lawyer, so I'll be giving you a slightly different perspective to my colleague Jarrod. But for us, certainly the first half of 2026 has certainly been dynamic, and that prediction of growth rings absolutely true, even from an in-house perspective. But for us, we look at it quite differently. You know, our businesses are looking very closely at costs. And so while the demand for legal expertise has skyrocketed, we are having to be very creative around efficiencies, given it's not as easy just to add headcount. You know, businesses don't want to be seen to be adding multiple lawyers to in-house teams. So yeah, we have to be very mindful and constantly evolving our operational models to maintain those efficiencies.
Cost certainly seems to be an underlying theme there. But building from that, what has been the biggest shift you have experienced or seen in what businesses or your business, considering you're in-house, are needing from your team or the legal team?
Yeah, great question. And I think, again, from that in-house perspective, we see sort of firsthand that businesses are no longer wanting their legal teams to act as the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff when a dispute arises. So they need us there from sort of the top down, helping to design those strategies, and they're expecting us to be involved in matters from day one before those commercial business decisions are made. The expectation is that we don't just manage disputes as they arise, but we mitigate those risks before they even crystallise. So mitigation strategies, being there alongside the businesses, making their decisions, risk-aware decisions, that is what they're now needing from in-house legal teams.
Yeah, great there. And just, I guess, putting on a broader hat and looking at it from a broader perspective over in New Zealand, what skills or capabilities do you think are becoming most important for legal professionals, I guess, to stay ahead of 2026 and all the changes?
Yeah, so becoming or being incredibly commercial and pragmatic is absolutely critical. It's no longer enough to just know that black letter law. You have to understand the operational realities of the business you're advising. I also think beyond that, EQ and emotional intelligence is very underrated. I think the ability to be able to read the room, communicate complex legal risks in simple language, with empathy and being really persuasive is what sets a great lawyer apart. You need a high level of EQ to navigate any kind of difficult conversations, even if that's in-house or with your clients. And then couple that with sort of the basic business acumen, I think would allow you to stay ahead.
Yeah, and we could go off screen and talk about EQ all day. I think it's one of the toughest skills to develop in people. Moving forward, though, how do you think the legal teams have evolved over the last 6 months? And additionally, how have the expectations of the businesses and what they're asking from their legal teams changed along with that?
Yeah, I think, again, we, as lawyers, in-house lawyers, we have evolved from being perceived as that traditional sort of compliance function to now being embedded in the business and being those core strategic advisors. I always think of it in my context as shifting from the what, like what is the law, to the how can we operationalize that? So again, building on what I said earlier, businesses are operating in tight economic environment. So they need their legal teams to be facilitating those business objectives while balancing the legal risk. I think over the last 6 months, I've noticed the expectation for in-house teams to be deeply embedded in the units, in the business units, and co-owning that business risk. It's no longer just an advisory function. We give the advice and we back away. Stakeholders are expecting us to understand their specific pressures and deliver advice that is immediately actionable, rather than, I guess, the traditional model of here's the law, here's a memo on the law, and off you go. They expect us to be able to say, here's the legal landscape, here's the practical path that we recommend.
Yeah, very strong performance focus there, and I guess keeping it real. Before we wrap up, and thank you both for your comments there, I'd like to bring you both in for a broader view across your respective markets, looking at AI and its impact on the legal space. It's already shaping how businesses think about productivity, which you touched on just then, skills and team structures. So I'm interested in how that it is actually playing out on the ground. And I'll start over in New Zealand with you, Anamika.
Yes, I think AI is moving really fast. And I think if you're not keeping up with that, it's a problem. AI is sort of shifting expectations around efficiency, and the expectation is that those routine sort of high volume tasks like initial document review, summarising case law, that's all going to be automated eventually. So I think that frees legal teams up to focus on that sort of high value strategic human work. And I think it's really important for teams to upskill and use AI tools appropriately. Otherwise, you'll very quickly fall behind in your service delivery.
Yeah, and our report showed that nearly 60% of law firms don't offer any sort of AI or tech upskilling in 2026. And in the legal space, obviously it's a very hot topic. So when I throw to you, Jarrod, I'll be keen to get your insights on, are we moving fast enough, moving too slowly? Are we taking the right level of caution there? And how do you think AI is starting to shift the roles and expectations within the legal teams?
Yeah, thank you. I was actually shocked to hear that it was up at 60% of law firms that haven't been using AI in that space. I can't really speak for other law firms and what they're doing, but what's certainly very interesting is that when you watch what's happening on, say, LinkedIn and legal news and seeing, what's going on in the market, a lot of firms are announcing their AI strategies. Within Thomsons, ours has been to actually develop our own AI software called 𝗪𝗿. And this is really giving us complete control in also our development for fit-for-purpose functionality, managing data security, and also considering now price certainty, which is becoming a key consideration in the market. So this is very much allowing us to move with speed while still ensuring the implementation is meaningful and in a considered manner. Going forwards, I think clients are very much looking to obtain value out of their legal services. And so I believe it'd be near impossible for a lawyer to demonstrate they were offering value in the absence of using any AI. So the simple reality, I think, here is that AI is here to stay, and all lawyers, and I really mean all, need to add AI as a core skill to their legal toolkit, and in that way ensuring that they're using it correctly, as well as acknowledging the associated risks with it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I'm going off script a bit here, but certainly from a candidate perspective, despite what our report showed with only 40% offering AI training, a very, very high proportion of job seekers or employees in the marketplace are wanting more training on that. They want to feel like they're ahead of the curve and really feel like they're ready for what the market, their business or their firm throws at them. So to wrap up today, and that isn't the last of AI, I can assure you, but a sincere thank you to you both for your time, for giving us these valuable insights from your respective markets. If anyone is watching today and is wanting to reach out to either Jarrod at Thomsons or Anamika, I'll try and get that right, over in New Zealand, you can visit the comments section for the information below. And once again, to you both, a sincere thank you for making it easy today and your valuable comments. We appreciate it. Just a reminder that all insights shared today are based off our 2026 Employee and Salary Trends Report. If you'd like a deeper dive into salaries, benefits and workplace trends across your market, you can request a copy today by scanning the QR code on screen now or by clicking on the link in the comments. And lastly, whether you're looking to grow your career or build your team with the right talent, the People to People Group can help you. As an award-winning recruitment agency, we operate across Australia with specialist teams in every market. And over in New Zealand, we proudly recruited for over 24 years through Frog Recruitment with offices in both Auckland and Wellington. And again, the contact details are on screen now, or you can see the links to the comments, or you can see the links in the comments below to reach out to our teams today. And if you're looking for help with your legal recruitment here in New South Wales, please reach out to myself, Kirsten Garrett, details in the comments as well. So that's it for today. It's been a pleasure being with you all. Thank you very much for joining our 2026 Legal Market Update.